How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We have something really interesting coming out of the Bitcoin conference right now. Something that we all are waiting for that could pump our bags like mad. Something that's been hinted at, but not directly discussed maybe, from the crypto czar, David Sachs. We have big announcements all over the place that are being hinted at. We have just a lot of stuff to talk about. If you don't mind, stay through to the end of the video because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Also, if you do want to trade crypto, there are links underneath the video. You can start trading on BTCC in just a few minutes. You don't need KYC, you don't need a VPN, and you can use leverage on that exchange. Of course, make sure you know what you're doing. Now, I apologize for the audio. We're here in the smaller room with a lot of tile. We're in the bathroom actually because some of the guys are playing COD out there, so I didn't want to bother them. Also, I didn't want to roam the halls. I wanted to film this video though because we have some very interesting things happening right now in crypto land. And of course, Bitcoin just sitting around the same price, but you can't just look at the price of Bitcoin. You have to look a little bit forward, and I think the thing that everyone's waiting for is the announcement that the US is going to try to acquire Bitcoin. And we heard some news on that. By the way, I will talk about kind of my initial thoughts on the Bitcoin conference a little bit later in the video. By the way, if you do want a video with other people, let me know, because we can definitely film some joint content. But let's show what just happened. This is David Sachs. This is David Sachs and the Winklevoss twins talking at the Bitcoin conference just now.
I think it'd be great if the U.S. government started proactively acquiring Bitcoin.
What do you guys think about that?
That's about as big a rise as Fire Gary Gensler getting last summer.
So the executive order establishing the strategic Bitcoin reserve does allow the government to purchase more if it can be done in a budget neutral way. So specifically, if either the Commerce Department or the Treasury Department can figure out how to fund it without adding to the debt, then they are allowed to create those programs. So if we can convince Howard Lutnick, who's the Commerce Secretary, or Scott Bessent, who's the Treasury Secretary, to buy some, and they can figure out how to fund it, without a new tax or without adding to the debt, then maybe find the money from some other program that's not using it, then we could potentially acquire more Bitcoin.
I like that little smirk there. Okay,
wow, love it. Sounds.
So I can't promise anything, but there is a pathway to doing that, and the question is just can we get either the Treasury Department or the Commerce Department to get excited about that, because if they do and they can figure out how to fund it, they actually do have presidential authorization already.
Cool. So how should we get their attention to do that?
Can you guys get their attention?
Raise your hands if you want the U.S. government to start acquiring Bitcoin. All right. Do you think we should put the tariff money to buy Bitcoin? I think I heard from somebody.
Okay. So there have been so many other hints as well that they're going to start acquiring Bitcoin. Let's look at this. President Trump's executive director of digital assets says the U.S. is on its way to becoming the Bitcoin superpower of the world. You can't become the number one without holding and acquiring more Bitcoin. You just can't, right? There are countries that are actively accumulating. You have to have Bitcoin as a country right now. And there are some other piece of news on that front too. Senator Lummis says that Trump backs Bitcoin Act, the bill to buy $1 million Bitcoin, and that this bill is going to hit the floor next week. Okay, there's so much going on. We have the Steak and Shake CEO saying people can now pay for their franchise using Bitcoin. So you can buy businesses, well-known franchises with Bitcoin now. It's such a cool timeline that we're living in. Jack Dorsey announced that Square will accept Bitcoin Lightning payments at all terminals. We have a special announcement scheduled at the Bitcoin conference tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So 9:30 a.m. during the conference. keep in mind that is right after JD Vance is speaking. What? Could it be the U.S. acquiring Bitcoin in some way? Right. Of course, Trump made so many announcements last year when he was at Nashville. Right. He talked about firing Gary Gensler, which he did. He talked about creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which he did. So what's JD Vance going to talk about? Right. Is he just going to get up there for 20 minutes and talk about Bitcoin, like just how great Bitcoin is, and not have any announcement as like one of the biggest speakers? Are people going to wait in line 3 hours just to say we like Bitcoin? I don't think so. I think there's going to be something more. Last year, Lummis came right after Trump and said, "Hey, we're creating this bill to buy 1 million Bitcoin." I don't think that's enough, though. I don't think the same announcement's going to be made. I don't think it's enough just to talk. I think they're going to want to announce something. Why else would they go through all the effort of getting here, right? Bitcoiners are already on their side for the most part. So why go through the trouble of talking unless there's something to announce? We'll have to watch. Obviously, there are some other rumors floating around, like maybe Robinhood is going to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which honestly would be another big step, right? A financial institution, an asset manager, a fintech app that is acquiring Bitcoin. Of course, Square has done that, but Robinhood, I think, is growing faster than Square. So yeah, there are some other things too that could be happening, including GameStop buying Bitcoin. There have been lots of signals that they're going to do that. Also, Dell possibly announcing that on Thursday because they have their earnings on Thursday. So many things could be happening here very soon. Of course, Bitcoin price hasn't moved that much, but everything looks pretty good, right? Like just in general, the fact that we're sitting around all-time highs, even with a lot of global uncertainty on tariffs, inflation, interest rates, like we are still at high interest rates, not historically, but like over the last 10, 20 years, we're at very high interest rates and Bitcoin's still at all-time highs. Like it's just crazy when you look at it that way, how well Bitcoin's doing without a lot of help, right? Like, of course, everything that Trump's been doing, I think has pumped up the price of Bitcoin. Like you can argue that in the comment sections if you want, but the fact is like, we wouldn't be at the same price if the president wasn't so pro-Bitcoin. But yeah, it'll be fascinating to watch what happens over the next 2 days at the Bitcoin conference. So far, I've actually met a ton of people. I appreciate everyone that said hi. Even, this morning I was battling not sleeping very much, time change, maybe a couple too many drinks with friends. So gonna rein it in here. But I was battling that this morning. So I apologize to anyone that said hey, and I was just like a zombie. But we are seeing a ton of people at the conference this year. I think it's 30,000 people, which I think will make it the biggest conference ever, Bitcoin conference. This is an awesome place for it too. If you weren't able to come this year, like try to make it next year. I'm guessing they're going to try to do it again in Vegas. It's at the Venetian. If you've never been here, it is wild. You can walk for 40 minutes from one end to the other, all inside. There are shops all over the place. There's 100 different places to eat. This is like the perfect place for it. And it's kind of nice that you don't have to like go out and about too much. I mean, you can if you want, but you can also kind of stay here and focus on the work and the Bitcoin aspect of it. And it's more than just a conference center, right? It's this massive hotel. So yeah, definitely a cool thing. And it seems like there's a lot of excitement. Obviously, there haven't been that many new investors over the last couple of years. I'd say so far this bull market has had less new investors, at least a percent growth, right? Way less new retail investors than the last cycle. Of course, there are some still that heard about BlackRock and Fidelity have started to buy in, but I don't think we've seen the sheer velocity of growth of the 2017 bull market and 2021 like new retail investors. But retail also isn't the one moving the market anymore. But it's cool to see this many people. Today was just industry day, to be clear, too. Like people that work in the industry or whales or press were able to get in today. So like when you hear people shouting in those videos that we showed earlier, it's it's a small fraction, maybe 5 to 10% of who will be here tomorrow. So it's going to get wild. It's going to get wild. Be careful, make wise decisions if you're at the conference. But yeah, I think we're in a very good place. I want to hear your thoughts. Maybe give me some of your wildest predictions down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, you can check out BTCC if you want to underneath the video. I'll see you all in the next one.